I'm always happy to spend an evening here at Spirit Square in this beautiful theater. This is one of the early redevelopment projects the city undertook starting in the 70s. I used to refer to projects like this one as rocks in the pond that would send out ripples of economic growth in all directions. And that's happened. Everywhere we look in uptown Charlotte, we now see restaurants, businesses, museums, performance halls, and sports facilities that did not exist 30 years ago. These civic assets are all here in the center of the city for people in the greater Charlotte region to enjoy. That's what we set out to do, and we succeeded. But it turns out that's only half the story. And this is what I'd like to talk to you about tonight. The city we built and the city we didn't build, where we still have so much work to do. The kind of leadership that will help us walk the second half of our journey towards building a city that works for all of us. And then I'll close with a few thoughts on how Charlotte's new generation of leaders can work towards making the lasting positive changes that our city needs. Now, I arrived in Charlotte in the summer of 1959. I had two major ambitions. One was to succeed in the training program at American Commercial Bank at the time I was doing so well. Now, what we've now learned is we weren't paying as close attention to our whole city as we should have been. When the Harvard-Berkeley study came out showing that Charlotte ranked 50 out of 50 large American cities for upward economic mobility, dead last, it was a shock to me personally, and I think to many of us. If nothing else, we thought we'd built a city of shared economic opportunity and a city of racial progress and reconciliation. This was the whole point that we've been working for 50 years. Now, I think it's fair to say that we've been very successful in Charlotte in important ways. I can't get this page turned. But we also learned some hard truths about where we've fallen short. And so it's also fair to say our work is far from complete. What we have not yet built is a city that shares opportunity equally for all its people. That's the work that is yet to be done. To do this work, as with all important endeavors, we will need strong and skilled leadership. But what kind of leaders? Now, our two honorees this evening give us an example of the style of leadership that will enable Charlotte to succeed in years to come. Jesse Cureton is the Chief Consumer Officer for Novant Health, has been a leader with Novant since joining in 2013. But of course, my relationship with Jesse dates back to his 25-year career with NCNB and Bank of America, where we worked together closely. In fact, one time we were working together so closely I thought we were going to have a fight. I was up on a ladder measuring, and he was down below cutting soffit to put around a habitat house. And I got mixed up on which end I started from, and mismeasured, causing Jesse to have to cut again, and out of which I think grew the expression, measure twice, cut once. But anyway, Jesse and I did a lot of things together, but his leadership in the Charlotte business community has been both broad and deep. He's not only helped grow our economy, but also has served our institutions of higher learning and nurtured our arts community. He is a leader who sees and cares about individuals in the big picture and helps others do the same. Now, Dr. and Reverend Ophelia Garmon Brown's career in Charlotte also has been incredibly successful and varied. She's been a builder of our medical community since she arrived here in 1980. She's been a medical missionary bringing care and representing the Charlotte community in many countries around the world. And she's been a strong voice of moral clarity as a leader in our faith community as well. I've known Jesse and Ophelia for a long time. They're creative and energetic leaders that have a strong, clear vision for what they want our city to be. They are instinctively inclusive and anything but indifferent. They care deeply about our city and broadening our opportunity for all neighbors. This is why Jesse and Ophelia are such fitting recipients for the Echo Award, and why they are the kind of leaders our city needs for the next leg of this journey. Now, in addition to strong and creative leadership, we also have to focus on the right priorities. And we have to work together in new ways. After the Harvard-Berkeley report came out, leaders from across the city came together on a task force to study the causes of inequality in Charlotte and to make recommendations to improve economic mobility for our people. The key action areas in the task force report are right on target. They recommend strong focus on education and career training, child and family stability, affordable housing, and social capital. These are all areas in which we must improve to secure a better and more equitable future for our city. And I should note that Ophelia was one of the co-chairs for the task force, so once again, thank you, Ophelia. There's one area of the report, though, that really sticks out for me, and that's race. Sadly, I think race continues to be our most challenging issue and barrier to progress. This is not the way we thought it would be. When we were building the city over the past 50 years, we often said Charlotte is too busy doing business to allow race to divide us. We desegregated our schools. We worked together across racial lines in our companies, and in government, and in our community boards. And yet, if you read Echo's Foundation's Tale of Two Cities curriculum, you'll learn that Charlotte is more segregated by race today than it was in the late 19th century. In the period between the Civil War and the turn of the 20th century, segregation had not yet been imposed in the South. Divisions of race and class existed, but white and black people lived in the same neighborhoods, ate in the same restaurants, worked side by side in their businesses. But we all know the history from there. Jim Crow laws rose it a way for white people to take back power. And decades later, the Civil Rights Movement helped swing the pendulum back in the other direction. In Charlotte, we thought we were doing pretty well in building a city that would be equal and just. But these recent reports show us that this really hasn't been the case. And to drive the point home, I saw an article in the Charlotte Observer just a couple of weeks ago on the same topic. The article reported on how lifelong black residents have become discouraged after living through years of the city's failure to close gaps in access to education, health care, housing, and more. I have to admit this is a challenge that I've struggled with my entire life. I've always thought if we all tried to live personal lives as free from prejudice as possible, that social progress would naturally follow. Someone asked me if white and black kids played together in Bennettsville when I was growing up. I said that we did, not out of a sense of racial justice, because otherwise we wouldn't have had enough kids to get up teams to play. But what we learned was that it wasn't a problem if no one made it a problem. I had a similar experience in the Marine Corps, people putting teamwork and country ahead of everything else. Just doing the right thing. The most important lesson I learned in the Marine Corps was that everybody pulls their pants up the same way, and all they really cared about was could you perform. And also in business, and also in helping to build this city, that's why we can build friendships and work together in our companies and civic organizations, on our sports field and on the battlefield. But patterns of racial division and inequality persist in our neighborhoods and in our city. This is a painful question to ask after all these years holding ourselves up as a model of racial reconciliation in the South. I suppose we are learning a hard lesson about pride. And we're learning that it is well past time for a new humility, for deep listening, for sustained and intentional actions that will spread opportunity throughout this city to all our neighbors. When we fail to bring opportunity to all our citizens, our entire city suffers. When we fail to develop the talents, skills, and leadership potential of all of our citizens, we neglect our most vital resource as a community, which is our people. To put it in terms appropriate for our city's past, it's like we're sitting on a gold mine and no one remembered to bring a shovel. I remember about 20 years ago, Joe Martin, and I know all of you remember Joe, received the Whitney M. Young Award from the Urban League. In his remarks at the award event, he challenged everyone in the room to start a new Charlotte tradition called Race Day. Do you all remember that? It wasn't about NASCAR. It was about committing to have lunch one day a week with somebody from a different background than yourself. To build bridges, not walls. To reach out with an open hand, not a clenched fist. That was a good idea, and it did a lot of good for our city. So my question to all of you is this. What is your idea? What actions will you take to inspire greater understanding, stronger relationships, and racial healing to this community? What will you do to help us move forward together? Now, to succeed in building a more equal city and to avoid the pitfalls of the past and truly make it different this time, we need a new way of working together. We need to change how we plan and manage our city, how to make decisions about investing and allocating resources. Geographic and socioeconomic inclusion must be baked into all of our decisions from the start. We must include young people in our processes for planning and decision making, from students to young professionals. The world is changing so fast, and they have ideas and perspectives that are different from ours. They will inherit the city we build and should have a say in how it is shaped. I'll be honest, I can't stand here tonight and give us an answer to this challenge. This is something that a new generation of Charlotte leaders will have to create together. But I believe we need a new governance model that forces every decision about our future as a city, that is public decisions and private decisions, to run through the filter of this question. How will this decision help spread opportunity in the areas and people of our city who need it most? When we can truly look one another in the eye and believe and trust that we're doing this, bringing all our neighbors into our story of growth and prosperity, only then will we know that our tale of two cities is becoming a tale of one city, one community, united in purpose and spirit. Now, we've been at this work of building a city and a community for a long time, and we've come a long way. For my part, I work with Charlotte leaders who will always be legends in this town. John Bell, Bill Lee, Rolf Neal, Ed Crutchfield, and Harvey Gann, who's here with us tonight, and many of you here in this room. The city we helped to build is very good, but we now know getting this far was only the first step. And we know that an even more important chapter in Charlotte's history is yet to be written. The good news is that we have a new generation of leadership to do this work. Many of you are here with us tonight. They are you. And we have as many leaders in Charlotte. Some are newcomers to our community who are already taking the kinds of action we need. Let me give you a few examples. Albemarle Corporation, led by Luke Kassam, got everyone's attention when they gave $10 million to 17 nonprofits that focus on early childhood education, career readiness, and family stability. Luke's wife, Catherine, started the Carolina Student Coalition to support under-resourced but motivated students in their pursuit of a college education and keep in graduation. Now, one of the organizations supported by Albemarle is Communities in School. Molly Shaw is doing great work with our students, and I encourage you to talk to Molly and learn more about her team. Marvin Ellison The new CEO of Lowe's just announced their Tracks to Trades initiative, which helps employees in pursuing innovative career paths, and nothing provides opportunity better than a good paying profession. Hats off to Lowe's. Finally, I have to mention three others who are helping our city address our most critical issues. They're Tom Fink of Barings, Jeff Brown of Ally, and Malcolm Coley of ENY. They're taking action to expand access to housing, education, and jobs for people across our city. Now, these are just a few examples of the creative and innovative approaches we need to close the opportunity gap in our city. I know there are many of you who are already taking actions on your own, and many more because it's the only way Charlotte can be a great city for all its citizens. Now, far be it from me to preach, but when I think of our responsibility to act, I always remember two lessons my mother and grandmother told me again and again. The first was, we reap from fields we do not sow. The prosperity we enjoy today was made possible by the care, responsibility, and hard work of those who came before us. And that lesson leads directly to another. To whom much is given, much is expected in return. Every one of us in this room owes a tremendous debt to those who have made our successful, prosperous lives possible. These are the debts will never be repaid, and we must never stop trying. It's up to all of us to answer this call to responsibility. So how we do so will determine how we are remembered as leaders by the future generations of Charlotteans, and how successful we will be as we write the next chapter in Charlotte's history. We'll write it together. Thank you.